like me enjoy trying out all the latest gadgety kind of things, especially around AI tools, right? AI tools for writing copy, AI tools for engaging with people on LinkedIn, AI tools for optimizing websites and coming up with blog articles and figuring out product descriptions and all of these sort of AI tools and sentiment analysis and all of the other stuff, right? And the general consensus, if you go on LinkedIn and you just put a post up and you say, "Hey, what do you guys think about like these AI tools people are using, to connect with you on LinkedIn?" All you get is like stream of invective, right? It's like terrible, worst thing ever. I never pay attention to them, blah blah blah. Uh, what's your latest thinking on this?
You're right. I'm very excited about all technology. So, like, I'm a technology nut, and the AI tools are really well. One, they're ingenious. They're also new. They're fun to play around with,
Right. They're
and
genius babies, is
they
what they are.
are. They are. But already, I'm looking at the time savings that I'm getting from some of the tools that I've used, and I'm. It's almost like I've cloned myself.
So what's been saving you time? Which like
Um,
what don't let's not like
yeah,
call out first
no,
of all, these companies come and go so fast
yes, we're not
that
going to mention
not a
names.
lot of point in calling out particular product names or company
Yeah.
names, but categories are pretty durable. So like what's saving you time? Is it ones that are doing sort of analysis and scraping for you? Is it as you're looking for prospects maybe? Is it the ones who like write articles and posts or social media posts and stuff for you? Or what's saving you so much time?
I'm glad you asked. It's all of the above.
Okay.
So I use a variety of tools for a variety of different things. I would say for me, I'm not a copywriter like you. I've managed to get to the point where I can write pretty decent copy, at least good enough for people to understand.
Right.
And one of the things that I have to do frequently is, write little chunks of copy, write an article for my blog. So I benefited, I think, the most from the writing tools. And the thing that blew me away, I'll share with you. Normally, if I were to go and title a video, script a video out, read that video out and everything, I was able to create a whole script and everything for a brand new video in like under 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Titled, it looks at the SEO and checks out the title for me. And this is for a friend's new business. He was starting an auto detailing shop down the street from me. And yeah, I put together a video titled and scripted within 20-30 minutes.
Right on. Like the kind of script where it's word for word that you read it, or the kind of script where it's like point by point so you can keep
Kind of,
track,
it was
riff on it as you go.
word for word where I read it. Even
Wow.
better.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried most of, because I write so much copy.
Yeah,
I've tried the copywriting tools
yeah.
first and foremost, right? More than any other. And so far I've like been very disappointed with them,
No,
right? But here's the thing. In forums and stuff, the sort of junior copywriters will talk about like, is it even worth trying to learn copywriting or have it as a career or a business? Because these AI tools are, and in fairness, the AI tools are progressing quickly,
they are
right?
progressing quickly.
And so, I mean, last week we talked about sort of the pyramid, right? And all the Upwork and Fiverr type folks and freelance type folks, and they're all like in this big section at the bottom of the pyramid, and it's the biggest single chunk, right? Most of the people in the pyramid are in that first level. That's in copywriting, for instance. That's the group that AI will knock out first, for sure.
Right, right.
Because all of the sort of routine, mundane stuff. I mean, you wouldn't even need to hire someone overseas if they're, a tenth the price of someone you'd pay in the US or Canada if you have an AI tool that will do it for a thousandth of the price.
Right.
And so that sort of like simple, generic, not really, I mean, it's basically like getting words onto a page or onto a screen so that somebody can read it. And a lot of content marketing, of course, people don't read the articles and blog posts that companies are, using for content marketing. Google reads them. And then they get found. It's, oh, I never even heard of this company, but there's an article talking about A, B, and C. And it's sort of like a formulaic listicle kind of thing, right? And there's no real sort of like second answer through line insight kind of stuff into it. But yeah, for like the simplest stuff, I don't write any of the simplest stuff. That's why it wasn't very useful to me.
Right.
But for that kind of first level stuff, and maybe some of the second level stuff 2 years from now, They seem to be okay for that. If you just want to like punch out a lot of words and get something up and going, then yeah, I mean those tools are gaining on the human copywriters, especially the junior ones. Or I don't mean junior as in they're just starting. I mean, I worked with someone once last year, 13 years experience, was clearly a junior writer.
Hmm.
And so, those kind of people, people in that kind of niche, like that's who AI is coming for first, for sure. Right.
For sure.
Software always simplifies the easiest stuff first and then moves up the value chain.
Yep. And I've seen lots of people write articles that are good enough for what they're doing. SEO
Yeah.
type articles for local
Right.
marketing
I mean,
applications.
really, that's what right? That's
Yeah,
exactly right. When
perfect.
you're writing for SEO, you're not writing for people, you're writing for Google.
For the most part, you're still
So
writing
that
for
an
people, but
engineer or a
more
prospect
preferably.
has a problem, the first place they go is Google. And if you've already, with your AI tool, managed to like write one or more articles on a website and they got indexed by Google, then that engineer will find you and go
Right.
to your site. And they may not even read your article or not get into it in depth. They might only skim it. But now all of a sudden they're aware that you exist
Yes.
and they weren't before.
Yeah, so the writing class of tools is probably the one that I'm the most excited about because
Right.
writing is not my forte. Like you, video is more my forte. Although writing is involved.
Yeah.
There's other classes that I think are equally as exciting. So I was telling you before we came on today that I've been helping a friend out who's a principal in a company that does um, an AI application for social media. And we're talking a little bit about social media and the fact that the biggest thing about your company's social media is that it's very hard to keep up, a daily existence on social media,
Right.
even for the most astute and dedicated person. So if you can use AI to pull together a whole bunch of imagery, a whole bunch of things relating to your business, and then automatically schedule all that stuff together, what is that worth to you?
Right.
It's huge. And so that's another area that I'm really excited about. There's a couple of AI applications that work in the social media area. One that I'm specifically working on, but to me, that's an area that's really exciting. Another one is the advertising area. Like, I don't know about you, if you've done a lot of ads on Facebook and Google and YouTube and all of that, but that can be a little bit of a hassle, especially if you're taking ads from one platform to the next to the next. And there's now AI applications that help you with your ads. So are there any other areas besides copyright, the copywriting apps that you're
Well,
particularly
specifically
excited about?
around prospecting, right?
Okay.
So
Yep.
looking at one of like the cold outreach, the cold email outreach, where they sort of pull in details. You basically just tell them. I think one of them even will like try to find people that you might want to send a prospecting email to,
Yes.
and then we'll compose an email that includes a couple of tidbits about them or things you have in common or saw your post on X, right? And provides a link to it,
Yeah.
and then writes it. And to me, this is where, for now, the AI tools, like, they falter and sort of like just before the goal line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they're writing for Google or writing for people who are going to skim, that's fine. But they don't seem to have an authentic sounding voice yet.
Yeah.
They're very obviously formulaic because they're following a template. Because, no, don't get me wrong, there are lots of people who are doing that sort of cold outreach and prospecting.
Yes.
They are following a formula, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with formulas, right?
Hmm.
Formulaic is bad.
Right.
We're using a formula, great. 8 notes. Look what Bach did with 8 notes, right? Look what Elvis did with 3.
Sure.
Right? But formulaic, bad. So there are lots of people following the bad stuff. Lots of, I mean, you get pitched on, LinkedIn every day, right? And they're all
Yeah.
following there's a book that came out a few years ago called New Sales Simplified. And for
Mhm.
like a brief period, this guy's template was sort of fresh and interesting and kind of a different take than what everyone else was doing. Now everybody follows it. And
Mm.
so everybody sounds generic again.
Right.
So it's very hard to come up with something original along those lines. So for prospecting, where you expect a human being to pay attention and then act on something, we're not quite there yet. And of course, that's kind of where I started, right? I mean, I'm not a content copywriter. I don't write articles and blog posts unless it's just
Right.
sort of favor for an existing client once in a while, right? My job is to have someone read something and then do something immediately.
Hmm.
And so so I never got much use out of the AI tools yet for copywriting or any kind of writing, because they're really just not, they're not there yet.
They're not quite there yet. Although, I mean, there are a lot of people writing books with them and everything else, but I
Yeah.
haven't figured out how to make that work. As much as I'd like to, but I haven't figured out how to make that work for me at least.
Yeah. I mean, I wish, I don't know if anyone ever watching this is going to do it, but if you like, my email is, I think, like right here somewhere. If you're using an AI tool for prospecting, all right, and let's define that again. You're using an AI tool to create something that you're sending to a human being,
Mhm.
hoping that the human being will take action based on what you sent them. If you're using an AI tool for that and you're finding success with it, I would love to talk to you, because I'd
So
get
am I.
anybody who's cracked that code.
I mean, we've used it to send stuff
Oh,
to
I should
people
also
and
qualify.
yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Okay.
before anyone starts like, oh, I can tell them what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I operate almost exclusively B2B, so like I'm selling to
Right.
corporations, not to someone who can be convinced to spend $19 on a PDF that's going to transform their sex life and pick up women,
Right.
every year. That's I don't operate in that space.
Yeah.
So
And
not
B2B
that.
and B2C. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I would love to meet someone and talk to someone and see how they approached it, because I've yet to find anybody who's satisfied with it.
Mm. Well, I think we're still just that tiny step away where it's improving day by day, but we're just not quite there yet for most of the
Yeah.
things.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have a legitimate concern when it comes to prospecting with AI, is that you may end up turning off a prospect by using the
Right.
AI tool, and then you've lost that opportunity. I mean, the best you could hope for is they forget you tried to contact them. And that's hard to do with LinkedIn, because it
Mhm.
keeps your entire message history with that person forever.
Right.
So anyone, if they wait a year and then try to message you again with another AI tool in a different sort of thing, but you were already turned off by the first one, as soon as you open the message, you see the one that they sent you a year ago. And you're like, I'm not dealing with these people.
Mm. Yeah, see, when I think
It's so
about
hard.
when I think about the messaging aspect of it, I think any of the messages you want to make sure that you approve before you automatically send anything from something
Yeah.
anyways, but just because it's not quite at that stage yet, at least that
Yeah.
I've seen.
No, I've tried and tried to have it compose messages, and then I end up
Mm.
ripping them apart and rewriting them. And
Mhm.
eventually you get to the point where I could literally write this from scratch faster than it takes me to take apart
Yeah,
what the AI made
and that's
and
no good.
make it into something good.
Right.
Right? That won't last forever, but I mean, and
No.
here's the thing, like everybody thinks AI is sort of like the general AI, right? Like the one that can do all this kind of stuff. AI is all around us,
Right.
except all very specific and small and tactical. But AI, you're using AI every day in a dozen different ways that you're not even aware of anymore.
True.
But for
Very
little
true.
tiny things, little cloud services, little apps on your phone, whatever, it's all being done with you and for you. And you don't pay attention to it. And we will get to the point where we're comfortable talking to AIs. We're
Oh,
just,
definitely.
we're not there yet, and they're not there yet. So
No,
that intersection right now is empty. There's nobody at that intersection.
but it's getting closer all the time.
But we're all
Mm.
approaching it. Yeah.
I think everything that I've been watching over the last year, I can see the incremental improvements in it.
Yeah.
It's definitely improving as we go along. So,
Around prospecting, I'm kind of curious, like at
mm,
what point will we have our own AI to deal with inbound requests from other AIs who are trying to get our business?
probably won't be that long.
Mm, right.
Yeah, I will think somebody will come up with something that
Right.
learns from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course you've got like sort of a related problem to the AIs, not specifically like the messaging and outbound prospecting kind of AIs that are sending emails and sending LinkedIn messages stuff to people. The first is that they're just so blunt, right, and formulaic that it turns people off. And the second is that if they get close but not quite there, they seem really creepy. And so
Just a
it's not
little.
just that the AIs need to get better, they need to get like over basically the uncanny valley, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big lift It's easy. It's easier with a little text message, in LinkedIn or an email or something than it is in a movie, say. But yeah, it's like very interesting. And then I wonder, you can answer this question for me because you're exploring these tools a lot.
Try.
I wonder if the ones that I've been disappointed in, even though they're I think the most popular ones, like I said, we're not going to mention any names of
Yeah.
companies come
Yeah.
and go. I'm not trying to endorse or anti-endorse any company, right? But I wonder if it's because like there are expensive ones out there, but I don't know about them and haven't tried to use them. So like the one that costs $99 a month is, blah. Whereas the one for like $999 a month is like just amazing. And I don't know about it.
I don't
Right.
know.
Is there that sort of like classification of price tiers where the AI is like way more sophisticated and way harder to detect and much more successful, but you have to spend like 10 times the amount of money to get
I'm
at it?
sure that's probably true. And the base, my understanding, mostly the basis of the AIs that most of us have access to inexpensively are trained by various sources. So they go out, they search the web, and
Right.
they're trained by a lot of different people. I'm sure that there's AIs that are more have more focused training, and they're going to be better.
Well, I haven't come across any of the super
Um,
expensive ones yet, but I bet they'd be fun to try.
I bet
The
they will.
demo for that would be pretty slick, right? I mean, here's the thing. If it costs $1,000 a month, or if the one that costs $99 a month is useless, and you would never let it compose something that you sent out to a prospect, but the one for 10 times as much was way better than 10 times as good,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it would actually start pulling in new prospects and business for you. It wouldn't take long to justify spending $1,000 a month on an AI that brought in
Wouldn't-
$10,000 a month in new business, right? That's a no-brainer. You make that deal every day of the week, twice on
Yeah,
Sunday.
sure.
But yeah, if there are super expensive ones that are just awesome, I don't know what they are. I've never been able to find them.
I don't either, and I know a lot of people who are in that space. So
Yeah. So maybe like the state of play where they are is the state of play that, where they are. Like that they charged X amount because this is as good as they can do right now.
at least at the moment.
Yeah. So your verdict on there's multiple categories, but your verdict on writing the writing AIs, the copywriting AIs is thumbs up, one thumb up out of
Yeah,
two.
yeah. I mean, it's
Mine is
been
no
reasonable.
thumbs up right now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
For
they're
the
no
kind of
good for
work
my
I'm doing,
business.
it's been reasonable.
And for prospecting, I have two thumbs down. Like I don't trust them at all for prospecting. They just don't seem to be able to produce anything that a human being would respond to.
Yeah, I probably one thumb up because from what I have seen, they can at least help me find um, legitimate things that I'm looking for or customers. Like you, I wouldn't necessarily trust them in writing
Right.
replies or sending stuff to those people, though. But for finding things and searching and research and analysis, not bad.
Okay. And then any other AI tools or categories of tools that you would give thumbs up to? Is there anything you'd
Mm.
give two thumbs up to
No, not yet.
right now in March 2022?
Not yet.
No. Would you give
No.
anything one thumb up? Like I can't imagine doing business without this AI tool.
I mean, I do, like I said, I would give one thumb up to the writing tool because there's a lot of stuff that I can do with it. It
Right.
does help me come up with titles fast, scripting for videos, that kind of thing. The advertising AI is very intriguing. It's got some good pluses to it. It helps you port ads over to other platforms, and it definitely takes away some of the work that you would have to do trying to come up with an ad on your own. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I think I can at least give a couple things a thumb up, and the social media one because that, like I said, that's an area that most people can't keep up with hardly at
Right.
all, and it's kind of one of our main businesses or business areas, and I
It's
can see.
not lost on me, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's not lost on me that the social media part
Yeah,
is more and more the people are becoming less important in the social media world generally, right? All
yes,
the algorithms that are trying to keep you there and feed you ads, and then you have your own algorithms to put in your own ads and
yeah,
do your own posting and all that kind of stuff. So it's basically machines talking to machines in a social network.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not sure we took the right turn on that one as a society.
Yeah, I'm not sure
We're
either.
building networks so machines can talk to machines, and we're not really that important in there anymore.
Skynet.
There you go.
Yeah. So,
All right. Any final thoughts? And we'll wind this down.
no, I think that pretty much covers it, Dean.
Yeah. So you would recommend generally that people investigate them? I mean, I would. I mean, you should
I
try
would
them out. There's free
definitely.
trials everywhere.
Eventually, it's going to get to the point where it's going to be something that you want to use for sure. I can see already places that we could make some serious headway with some of the tools that are available. So,
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're a very small or single person business, at some point
and
you
we are a small
have
business.
to outsource some of your work to an AI.
Yeah, you have to. I don't think there's any way. I don't think there's any way around that.
All right. I think tomorrow we're talking about the second right answer in the next video, that is to say.
That sounds cool.
So as the concept of the second right answer. And that goes a long way towards explaining where AI isn't yet and sort
Yeah.
of how most people aren't there yet either. So we'll get there. All right. See
Sounds
ya.
good.